Peace and Black Power family. Welcome to another episode through Knowledge Radio, place where knowledge is born. This is your host, Knowledge Born a Lot, and we are here with the phenomenal mind, the wellness mind, the transformative mind of our warrior sister, Her Majesty, Queen Tresa Simmons is in the building. She's here to give us some good news, some new news. We get some exclusive today here on Do God's Radio. We're honored to have her back here and welcome her back to the microphone. So without any further ado, it's come my honor and privilege at this time to introduce some, present the others. Her Majesty, Tresa Simmons in the building.
Hello,
Please hello.
everyone. Hello. How are you today?
You
You want?
good? How you?
I'm great. Great.
All right.
Excited to be here.
All
Excited to
right.
be here. Thank you for asking me.
It's an honor and a privilege. It's an honor and a privilege. I see you doing amazing work, transforming lives, giving folks back hope. You know, participating in their wellness journey. You know,
Yeah.
triumphing, being triumphant through trauma. You see what I'm saying, and letting us know and reminding us that we are not our circumstances. We are far greater than our circumstances. So definitely a privilege. Privilege. So
Yes.
I guess for the two or three people who are unfamiliar with you, we could start with a brief introduction, and then we could just go from there.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tresa Simmons, and I am also known as the Pleasure Coach. I have a organization. It's recently been changed to the name is the Bohemian Guard. Let me start over. The Bohemian Goddess, and it was called the Womb Space Healing Nature's Way at first. I broadened it out so that we could get more healing and not just on certain topics. I do love
Mm,
to work with womb wellness, talking with women about womb healing, talking with women about ancestral healing, things that really help them to broaden them to come into wholeness. I have a talk show that I do. I started about a year ago. It's called Conversations with the Sister, Healing One Conversation at a Time, and it will be coming back on soon. I have a sister circle, and it is called Voices. I absolutely love Voices, and it stands for Voicing Our Integrity, Choices, and Expectations Successfully. It is really about women taking their voice back, understanding the power of their voice, and living from that space. So that is some of what I do. As you can see, a lot of what I talk about is around conversations, helping women to truly gain their voice back, truly understand and be able to, live in a space of integrity and live from their heart space.
So what kind of prompted you to get started in this particular line of work with these healing conversations and these wellness journeys with these sisters?
A couple years ago, that's a good question because a couple years ago, I had my own journey has been one of fire, one of testing. And I remember like a couple years ago, I kept saying, I want to have a book club. And I kept saying it. And one of my girlfriends, she was like, you need a crap or get off the pot. That wasn't quite what she said. And so I said, but I wanted to have, I wanted to be meaningful dialogue. She said, there's your name. So I started a book club called Community Conversations with Meaningful Dialogue. It lasted about 6 months. And then it just kind of faded out. But I wouldn't give up because what I felt like when I started the book club was that I was about that time, maybe I was in my early 50s, and I knew there had to be more women out there who wanted to understand and who doing it together. I felt like it would be when I started the book club. I felt like more women together, we would help heal each other. We would help answer questions that I could get more with more women together than I could get by myself. So when that didn't work out, I went on Facebook and I started a group called Conversations with the Sister. And from there, I started doing conversations with the sister, healing one conversation at a time. Again, I'm bringing women together And there were men too. I did a segment on sexual abuse in our men and our boys, and I had men on there. I had men in, in other on other talk shows, just to begin to help women to also connect with our brothers. I wanted us to have whole relationships in ways that sometimes we didn't. And I wanted the men to be able to tell us what it was that they felt like they weren't getting. It wasn't a bash a man show. And then after that, I took a class, a certification, and I became a certified womb sauna practitioner. And then from there, things just started to grow. I built the circle, which is voices, and just really because I really wanted to uplift women. But when I started this journey, I really started it for me. I want to say, I think this is probably the first thing that I can say um, that I had myself in mind. And that's part of my core about my journey is that I haven't always had myself in mind in what I was doing. But in this particular time, I had myself in mind. And I just felt like I would thought it would just be a powerful experiment at first. And then I began to see that we women really did need the help, me included. So that's kind of how I got started on this journey.
Mhm. So what are some of those experiences briefly that you could share with us since you started on that journey? What did you learn about yourself? What are some of the stories you could share from some of the women you came in contact with on this journey thus far?
For myself, I think one of the greatest things that I learned about myself is that I mattered. Now, on this journey, and it's a part of the book that it's in my book. It had twists and turns. It wasn't just a straight journey. I took a 6 month juicy womanhood rites of passage. I needed that. And during that period of time, I really found out how addicted to pain I was. I was in and I was very addicted to pain. And when I committed to that journey, I knew at the end of it that my life would never be the same. But what I didn't understand was I had only just be committed to the beginning of that experience. And that commitment itself was going to take me through the rest of my journey. So basically, I thought like, okay, well, I'm here, and I really hadn't arrived. I had gotten there to a space where I had almost like had a major healing in one area, and it transcended into other areas. But then it began to let me know that there was a real healing that really needed to be done. I had gotten out of the space that I was so connected with pain. Now I could start seeing other areas of my life. And then some of what I've seen with women is they talk about how their life has been changed. Um, well, working with other women, some of the women say, I grew up thinking all women were like catty, and they've learned that we can love each other and we don't have to be that. I've seen women who were not only introverted but didn't know who they were starting to come out. I've seen women who I call it counseling on the pot, coaching on the pot when I do the womb sauna steamings. Um, I call it coaching on the pot. I see women who walked in fear, who've seen themselves one way, begin to see themselves differently. And I've seen myself just grow where I was really introverted, didn't think much of myself, came from a background of sexual abuse. I've learned that that doesn't have to be my story. And that long as I begin to change the narrative of my life and the narrative of the stories I tell, then my life begins to change and shift in other ways. And I've learned to do it anyway. Like, I'm pretty transparent. So when before everybody came on, we were talking about my fear around kind of like being out in the public. But what I'm learning is do it anyway. And it's okay. It's okay to acknowledge how we really feel. It's okay. Because that's part of our humanity. And, and even as I'm on a spiritual journey, that's still part of my humanity. So those are some of the things that I've learned. Those are some of the things that the women tell me that they've learned, working with me or just being a part of a journey with another set of women.
So we segue right perfectly, like by design, into this amazing contribution that just was recently released on released on the 7th, all right? The 17th, the 17th.
Yes, the 17th.
So
Yes,
let's talk
yes.
about this book. Let's talk about this journey. You understand what I'm saying? From the book club to the book. What's happening? Let's
Yes, yes. So what do you want? You want what do you want? You just talk about the book, or you want to ask me anything? The
So what
book,
about
I
the
would say
process?
this.
Like, how long did the book take to be
Hmm.
made? Was it written
Okay.
before it ever hit the page? Let's kind of walk through that. I
Yes, sir.
that process.
Thank you. Okay. So, getting to the other side of happy is the name of the book is in Powerpreneurs. Lord, it's a word. Empowerpreneurs is the name of the book. And my chapter in the book is called Getting to the Other Side of Happy. So I co authored the book with 9 other people. And when we were asked to write the book, we were given several months to write our chapter. I feel like the book was something that was already written inside of me many years ago. I start off the book kind of talking about, I would hear this phrase, getting to the other side of happy, for a couple years before I ever wrote this book. I didn't have any idea of what that phrase meant. And when we got ready to write the book, I knew that that was going to be the name of my chapter. But when I began to understand the reason it was called Getting to the Other Side of Happy, because happy is an experience that is usually happens when it's something somebody does, it's something that comes outside of us, that kind of experience. And for me, getting to the other side of happy was getting to the side of joy, where that was an internal motivation for me, the way I wanted to live my life. And so that was how I came to name my book, my chapter, Getting to the Other Side of Happy. And yeah, so I really feel like it was written long before I put it on paper. But I will have to say this, it's still, once I realized that I committed to this book, it took me almost to the deadline to really write my chapter. Because I was like, now I was like, oh my God, I got to do this. And I just kind of felt stuck. Um, and I had to do some work around that. All of this is still about internal work. And then it just flowed. And then the book came, it came into fruition.
So how does it feel now being a contributing author to something that was a thought child of you from your experiences over, this period of time, and as, things grew, as you grew within yourself spiritually, emotionally, psychologically, how does it feel now to actually, give birth to this and, be a part of this process of the written word, author world?
It feels amazing, amazing, amazing just to be able to because I love to write and I love poetry. So when anyone reads the book, 3 of my poems are in the book. They're used to, to kind of move the book along. And it just feels amazing. I love to write. So I'm finding more and more conversation, talking, writing is a way that just lights up my soul to be able to support others in what I do.
So what has the response been, this first week? Have you had any surprises, the reactions, from the family, your friends, whomever, uh, along the path thus far?
So I have my we put like we did an hour launch so to get it out on Amazon just so that we could get the book out there. And we've done fairly well with that. I've had surprises because I've had a lot of people that I didn't know on Facebook, or who maybe, I don't know, I've never thought they wouldn't buy. I just didn't give it much thought. And I've had, people buying the book, and it's been great. My brother was the first one that bought the book. I was like so
Mm.
proud of him because he supports me through anything. He don't even know what the book is about. He's just like, okay, you did it. I got you. Um, so that worked for me. Yeah, so it's been amazing. My oldest son, I saw him on Facebook. Like, my mom wrote this book. Can you guys want to buy this book?
Right.
And so yeah, it's a great feeling though to really birth not only the book but myself. Because trust me, in order to do this book, or in order to do this business, or in order to do any of things, I have been stretched. There's
Mm.
things I know about business. There's things that I begin to learn about myself that I had to grow up fast. Not saying that I've totally there. That's one of the things that talk about in this book. I do not say that I've totally arrived. I've said I committed to
Mm.
empowering myself and women through my experience, and that's what makes me an empowerpreneur. Not because I've aced it and got it all right.
Mm. I mean, it's magical, to see it. You
Yes.
can't hide it. It's coming off of your being. You know what I'm saying? You're
Thank you.
exuding that excellence. You see what I'm saying? That sense of accomplishment and that hunger. And so it's looking like it's more coming. It's more in the works. So, what else do you have in the works that you can share with us?
I have a poetry book called Naked: My Journey to Self Acceptance. It is due to come out in April if everything works out. It's due to come out in April. And in May, I'm due with a group of my daughters, my spiritual daughter, and my four biological daughters. I felt like generational wealth should be shared in the family. And if I died today, they would get it. So they're all part of a clothing line that's coming out. And it's called Conversations with the Sister,
Mm,
Naughty, Nice, and Poetic line of apparel.
okay.
So that is due to drop in May if everything works out.
All right. All right. All right. All right.
Yes, yes. So I'm definitely excited about that. It is so much fun to just have your daughters and to just feel all the energy of everybody. It's just like, yes, this, coming up with all these ideas. And again, it's about conversation, getting these women to just talk about talk and be comfortable in their own bodies. I feel like one of the greatest things, if I could get women to understand, is we live in our body, but I don't feel like many of us live in our body. We're here, but we're not settled. It's like almost like we're ready to jump out of our bodies. We don't really embrace it physically, but also emotionally in every kind of way. So again, you see that what I do has a lot around conversation, being able to have dialogue in any form I can get it. So if it's on the apparel line or the book or the poetry, those type of things, then so be it.
All right. I'm loving it. Do you have a copy of the book with you?
I do. I do. And I'm giving
Want to
away.
see that thing? We want to see that thing. You understand what I'm saying?
This is the brainchild of Dr. Akina Finch. It's her brainchild, but I am so grateful today that she asked me to be a part of it. She saw in me a gift for writing and telling my story. And so I do want to acknowledge her that this is her brainchild.
Yeah, we gotta set something up to get y'all on together. Get the folk on together and hear the story and the vision. Because uh,
Yes,
a lot of people have sight, but very few have vision. You see what I'm saying? And you a visionary. I know. I know you are a visionary. This
yes,
this this existed long before it came into physical manifestation. You see what I'm saying?
absolutely.
Help so many along the way, and you're continuing to be of service. So, a question I could ask: how do you take someone from the state of being where as traumatized as we are, epigenetically, transgenerationally, things like that, these inheritance, not only our own personal trauma, but, trauma through ancestral, how do you take them through that process and bring them into a state of wellness, into a state of wholeness, into a state of being comfortable in their own skin, as you put it. We're ready to jump out of our own skin. How do you get, you know, our sisters along this path, from where they were to where they are?
Well, first of all, I'll say there's no shortcuts.
Mm.
So that's the first thing. You have to be willing to truly face yourself. And I'm not talking about where in the past I'll be trying to dig up all the, I would start off like all the wounding spaces. They're there. But I really would like to get women to begin to see who they are beyond their wounds. And they have to be willing to do the work. Um, Another thing I think, because I did a class on, it's called Legacies Unleashed, Healing Generational Suffering. And I would have to, when I started the class, I let every woman know it begins with you. I think they kind of thought it was going to begin with mama, everybody else. But they began to work on themselves and then connect with what it looks like and how it connected with maybe mom or someone else. And we did different exercises, and I would say this: two of the women that was in the class, one of them is now owns her own business. The other one is a life coach out there doing a lot of herbal stuff, and she's an herbalist with out there in the garden and that kind of stuff. And so those would be some of the very first steps. Journaling helps. I tell every woman when you've been, I believe in coaching. I believe in counseling. One of the things I don't believe about counseling, though, is I started probably when I was 17 or 18, and I still go if I need it now. So that's not what I'm saying. But for many years, I went to counselors who kept me digging in the same thing over and over and over. And I came to understand that that's not the kind of counselor that I want. The counselor that I want helps move me and help me to understand that I'm responsible. I may not be responsible for what happened to me in that sense, especially when we're really young and we're children. But now in this age, I get to decide what I want to do and how I want to live. And as each one of those feelings and those strong emotions come up, I'm not saying they're going to disappear right away, but we still get to make the decision. What story am I going to tell about that? Am I willing to sit here? Everything is a choice now. And so I would recommend that we have counselors who believe in us to help us move us along the way and not be dealing with the same story about my dad, whatever happened, my mom, whatever it happened, I did this or whatever it happened. Um, and 3 or 4 years, you're talking about the same stuff because healing can't happen. For me, it was really, really, I had to do some intense work these 6 months that I was doing my rites of passage. I even got to a place that I got stuck. I literally got stuck. And I remember the person who was coaching me. I thought she was going to tell me, you're going to have to drop out because I was really, really struggling. She said I was probably one of the hardest women she's ever had to work with in terms of not being combative, but really getting to the root of what was going on. And I remember saying to myself, not to her, I don't care what you say, I'm not quitting. And it was in that moment that I had like this breakthrough. I did go back to counseling for 2 sessions, and then I just made my way through my process. So counseling is very important. It does help. So I would say, depending on the trauma, not trying to do it alone. Um, don't trauma bond with get around with people where you're just talking about the trauma. I heard someone say, and this is not what I said, but heard this is not what I said. I'm repeating what I heard this person say, but it made so much sense. She said that if we when the more that we continue to talk about our trauma and repeat it. Oh no, that might have been Brother TD, Elder TD Jakes. The more we keep repeating the trauma over and over and over and over, not only are we traumatizing ourselves, we're bonding with the trauma. We're making it grow deeper into ourselves, and so it's one thing to be able to talk about it in a space where we're moving into wholeness, and it's another one to keep traumatizing ourselves over and over and over by telling our own story and um, not moving in a space of healing.
All right. You said you had three poems in the book.
Mm-hmm.
For today, which one is your favorite poem and why?
How they each got different meaning to me, but I probably would say probably my last one. The first one in the book came to me while I was writing the book. I
Mm,
needed a poem to start off the book with. The second one was a poem that I wrote about getting through the process of sexual abuse. And the third one was a poem that I had written of me overcoming in a space where I had been living a life of trauma, pain, abuse, and that kind of stuff.
okay. So would you be willing to read one for us and explain?
I knew you was gonna put me on the spot. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it.
Because
Here's the
I would read it, but I don't
but
have
here's what I
the
said.
feel and the flow that you had in mind. You see what I'm saying? So I don't, I, I would
I knew it.
audience to hear from you. You know,
But
that's
here's the thing: when we talked about it, I write poetry. I rarely read it. I've read poetry once at a book signing, and it really did turn out well. So, okay, here we go.
there we go, there we go, there we go.
Here we
It's the
go.
second time you can put it on your list. Since I read it live on this live
I
interview on
know.
TV, you
Oh my.
know, in
All
front
right.
of the world.
Yes, yes. Okay, so what would I be without the judgment? Answer: I am. I am light and free. Poetry in motion with no rhyme or reason. Happiness, joy, peace, love wrapped in laughter, bowing down to my own significance. Authentic beauty in the vortex. Colors and energy of bright reds, oranges, greens, yellows, pinks, and blues. Nurtured by my own breast. Healing words and flowers. I am. I am the power of self pleasure in real time. A climax of passion in my daily life called Tresa. Entering into a praise of energetic vibration, connection of heart, a salutation, humble, thankful. Gratitude is my strength, powerful, playing in spaces that have no time. I am. I am the call of the siren for the feminine divine, the vortex of my womb that meets my yoni in yes. I am. I am the sun and the moon in motion lighting my way, singing in cacophony with the rain and the thunder, the rainbow and the wind. The trees and the seed. I am more than enough. A statement of my greatness. I am brilliant, phenomenal, ancestors beating the drum. I am uniquely me.
Woo woo! Am I supposed to clap, snap, or clap?
I
Well,
don't know what you're supposed to do. I don't know what it sounds like, but I am grateful again. So here's the thing about stepping out, being an empowerpreneur. Again, is doing it anyway. So I've had a fear of like reading poetry, my poetry, even though I write really well. I've always had, and so you put me on the spot. So here's the thing about being an empowerpreneur. We can rise to the occasion or we can sit down. And sometimes it's not about how well it's done, it's the fact that it's done. And each time it gets done, it gets better. So, thank
That's
you.
what you understand? Milestones up in here. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, yes,
Milestones. Milestones to mastery. You see what I'm saying?
yes,
Milestones to mastery. Self mastery. On every level. So that, you know, brilliance right there. Is a motivation. I just did um I did a little show last night called "The Mission is More Important Than the Moment." Oftentimes we get stuck in the moment. We get caught in the moment. You see what I'm
yeah,
saying? Many of us live in a moment. Whether it's a traumatic or a triumphant moment. But what is your mission? You see what I'm saying? Your mission will dictate how you use that moment. You see what I'm saying? So if it's a
yes,
traumatic moment or a triumphant moment, that your mission will dictate how you use that moment. Uh, you use it as an empowerment, or you use it for a reason to say mission incomplete. You see what I'm saying? So who's dependent upon you to complete your mission? Who will benefit from you completing your mission? You see what I'm saying? So your
yes,
mission, there's a journey to your mission. You see what I'm saying? And the mission is the journey, and the journey is the mission. But we looking at the moment. We might get stuck. We might get caught. We might get trapped. We might get, a space of stagnation. You see what I'm saying? You have to remember your
absolutely.
mission, that, and remember every moment that goes along with the mission. You see what I'm saying? You be like, you see this bruise right here? I remember when I was 6, this happened. You see what I'm saying? It will call you to remember. In that moment of reflection, you retool, you rearm, and you continue to move forward. You see what I'm saying? So,
Yes,
you know,
yes, yes.
you
And
will
so
live.
thank you. I did.
You,
I
you,
did remember at the beginning. I was like, "Can you read it?" But no. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to just. I'm telling on myself, but again, I'm transparent. Thank you, because this is what I want women to understand. Like I said, there was some, I feel safe here, but there was some, anxiety. Like, okay, you're gonna put yourself out there. Now what? Or reading the poem. Like I said, I don't really read. I just write. But okay, that means I just need to practice more. And I'm grateful for the opportunity. And this is what I want women to understand. The moment you say yes, every yes takes you to a deeper yes with yourself. It takes you deeper inward with yourself. It keeps, so like you said, this book, this meeting here is about this book. Okay, so there's a poem in this book, but it's deeper than the book, because my whole point is I really want these women, not just my story, or men, because there's a man in here that wrote a story. It's not just about me. This whole book is about, there's got to be one of those stories that empower you to understand, no matter where you came from and no matter what's going on, there is a way out. There is a way up. And so even if my story don't speak to you, there's got to be somebody's story in here that speaks to you. So the mission is to to get this out here, because I want what one person might do that empower their healing, another person might do something else. If somebody loves to read, this could be an aha moment for their life, and it could shift them for the rest of their life. So it's about, like you said, the mission. So thank you.
all right. So, closing remarks, final thoughts, message to the world. Let's get them empowered. Let's get them empowerpreneur. Let's get them motivated to go and find this book and transform their life.
Well, I would just say, first of all, thank you for everyone who's here now listening, and who may come later and listen. The first thing begins with self-love. And so I'll encourage us to do whatever, and that's one step at a time. It doesn't have to be something major. Just keep saying yes to you, seeing in you and acknowledging your own goodness, your own greatness, even when it doesn't feel like it. As far as this book is concerned, like I said, it is a powerful book. There's not 10 stories in here, including mine, that we tell our stories how we came from a place of pain and hurt, or something happened to us, and how we decided that we were going to empower different ones with our story. And my prayer is that everyone who reads this book that they become empowered in some kind of way, that they take away something that encourages them, no matter what it is, no matter whose story it is. I am for the highest good for this book. Oh, and I have a giveaway. So we will work that out. But someone will win this book today.
Yeah, someone.
Someone will win this book today. Oh, and I have a
Somebody.
question for you.
Uh-oh.
Really quick. Really quick. Can I turn the tables?
Yes, ma'am.
You read the book. So let me ask you, what did you think about? Well, you read the chapter. What did you think about my chapter? What? Okay.
I think your chapter is very vivid and very rich in detail. It had me on a emotional roller coaster. Oftentimes we don't know what happened. We only look at the finished product. We never get a chance to hear or see the story. And all of us have a story. So you validated a lot of experiences that have happened. We see the after effects of the issues and the trauma, the emotion, the fire, the flame, but we don't see the root cause. You see what I'm saying? We didn't see
Yes,
the initial
yes,
burning embers, and there are different points of our life. So you painted a picture so very vividly, but you also painted a picture of redemption, reclamation. You see what I'm saying? To say, okay, these things happen, and you know I'm moving
hmm,
with them. I'm not moving on forward. I'm not abandoning them. You understand what I'm saying? These are lessons, and these lessons, I found the blessings in them, but moving forward. You see what I'm saying? So the first place where I'm most vulnerable, the first place where I can draw the most strength from. You see what I'm saying? The first place where I can feel the most pain is in here. So with that, I'm going to use that energy to continue to ascend, to continue to rise. There's an aspect of yourself that will keep you away from these experiences. You see what I'm saying? That
yes,
self-preservation model that is designed within us to us for us to not want to feel pain, not want us to experience it. Like
yes.
you really open the door. You see what I'm saying? And open some
Hmm.
wounds and say, okay, these wounds had to be open and exposed to air in order to heal. You see what I'm saying? So, you're living proof and a testament to our sisters, you see what I'm saying, of all ages. You see what I'm saying, in all spaces of development, that there is hope, like there is light at the end of the tunnel. You may be in a dark space at the moment, but with help and with support and with that circle, you can
Yes.
continue to move forward. So your story was brilliant. Your story was amazing. Your story was empowerment, you know.
Well,
So
thank you. I didn't ask. Well, you know what? I asked because I could say, "Oh, it's great," but to have somebody else read it, that is even more telling for oftentimes for people because we supposed to believe in ourselves. Not that it
right.
wouldn't be, but having that. So thank you for letting me put you on the spot.
Hey, 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 we all getting out of this comfort zone that we in. You see what I'm saying? Like on the other side of mediocre is mastery. You see what I'm saying? So we just got to get on
Yes.
that other side. You know. So that's why I put the camera view back. So they're like, oh, was she talking to herself, or was that a real person in the background? You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
So.
I'm talking to you.
Well, social media links where people can find you, where people can follow you and stay in tune with these amazing things that you have coming up.
So, my page, the Womb Space Healing Nature's Way, is on Facebook. They can reach me there. Also, they can go on Uniquely Brilliant 2 for Instagram, Tresa Simmons for Twitter, and Linked On. And the book is called Empowerpreneurs. They can order it from me to get a signed copy. If they go on my Facebook page, Tresa Simmons, or either the Womb Space Healing Nature's Way, the link will be there. And they also can order a copy from Amazon, but it will not be signed.
I need my signed copy. Okay, I need
Yeah, I'm
mine.
gonna get you a signed copy. Okay.
I need mine. You know,
All right. All right. I'll make sure you get a signed copy.
I appreciate it. I appreciate you. I appreciate your time, your wisdom, your jewels, your jewelry, and your
Thank you.
skillet up in here. See what I'm saying? Sharing that information of empowerment and not being afraid to open yourself up and step outside your comfort zone.
Woo
So
wee. Don't know what it sounded like, but yes, God, thank you for another opportunity.
that's right. That's right. So we out of here, family. Thank y'all for tuning in.
All right. Have a good one. And thank you for having me.
All right. Peace.
Peace.